Hi, I'm Ben from Pearl River Eco Design, and today I wanted to show a couple of maps I recently produced. This is Geoff Lawton's Zaytuna farm in Australia. These maps here cover 2,000 acres. And this one here is a close-up of the farm itself. It's about 60 acres. And I made a little video that kind of highlights some of the processes that I go through using different software features, and you can get kind of a sense of what I go through in order to produce these works. I hope you enjoy.
One of the first several items that you want to go out and grab and then bring into your Illustrator software are contour lines. Now, here I was able to access LiDAR data, which is pretty much the cream of the crop accuracy-wise when assessing the topography and hydrology of the landscape. And if you don't have that, then if you can get a drone in the air, that would be the second best. If you're not able to, if you have a lot of trees covering your land, that can kind of suck. So having LiDAR data is ultimate because it's able to penetrate the tree canopy and get a pretty decent read of the land underneath the trees. So here I'm importing, it's 9 screens worth of data out of ArcGIS, exporting my contours, and you precisely line them up. See there, that's 2,000 acres. Now, a problem right now we got is the lap, which causes a visible line, as you see. There's a process to deal with that. And for that 2,000 acres, it took me a day to do. like a 10-hour day. Here I'm lining up 1-foot contours over the 5-foot contours. Whether it's contours or images, you're constantly tugging up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. Sometimes you have to pivot and rotate, which is a little more difficult, but it's all tweakable. The key thing is to get them to line up over each other precisely, so when you click your layers off and on, everything jives. So here we have a zoom in of the contour lap over. I just put a colored box behind everything so it wasn't so aggressive on my eyes. You know, so I'm looking for overlaps, deleting the overlaps. That's step one. Yeah. Once you get all of those overlaps deleted, the second game is to heal and to join all of those contours. You should be able to click through the entire box and they'll all be connected. And once they're connected, I'll select all of the red contours, since there's fewer of them, group them, lock them, select all of the black and group and lock those, so I can turn, I can manipulate different colors, because the reds, I think I use like 1.7 point and the black 1 point width-wise. You're welcome to change the opacity and the color of the lines individually. Once you conquer them, you own them, you can do whatever you want. Splicing contours are probably one of the biggest joyless, monotonous steps in this whole process. Here, in order to maintain resolution when I zoom way in, so I can read the topography really well. This is a surface elevation image, and it's 30 screen grabs that I'm lining up and then merging. I line them up pixel over pixel so they're precisely snapped, and you'll see that here when I do my SAT image. You get them close, then you identify the pixel, and then stack. Now, you got to make damn sure you remember inside of Google Earth, in the drop-down box way at the bottom, you turn terrain off, because that kind of morphs the image to lay over the landscape. So that's going to hose you later if you're trying to pixel merge two different images. A pro tip for you. So it's handy to grab a couple of different, you can use the time machine or the history tab on Google Earth and kind of cycle through different years that they have satellite images for your image, because sometimes it will be, it's not a straight down perspective, so you see a lot of sides of your buildings. It's not a really good angle to work with. You want as straight down as you can get. If you can get a dry season and a wet season contrast. It helps, like I just showed there, to be able to toggle between. In this case, I use the dry season satellite image to really read all of the different paths and roads that were on the landscape. It's also a nice contrast to identify where all your deciduous trees are located at. This is one of my favorite parts of the build, is chasing the hydrology. Being able to dive in and kind of make little waterfalls, all the different crevices. You can read them plain as day. Like, I'll cruise around in this layer building, and then sometimes I'll turn it off and on and look at the satellite image underneath it, and it's like, yep, I'm on the right path. And it's really apparent where all the moisture is held on the landscape if you turned all the layers off and just looked at the satellite image. Yeah, hunting all of the tiny valleys across the 2,000 acres. That was another day, I'd say. It took, for this build, I'd say 70 hours I put into it. Essentially, I built the 2,000 acre map and the 60 acre map in about a week and a half. Look at how spot on this LiDAR derived topography is. You can see in the landscape where the moisture is and the vegetation is. It lines up perfectly. Going through, tracing the river out and all the different river bends. There's a lot of banks and turns. It's hard to make out with the tree cover there, but you can get so far in this view and then switching over to the satellite image to help you fill in the gaps. Yeah. All of these videos are 1,000 times the actual speed. So the width of the river is going to vary naturally, but you just start off with you're making your path now, and then you just size it up to meet like a minimum width that you want to go with for your river. So once you have your minimum width, you convert your path to an outline stroke, and then you can pinch and pull on the sides to kind of shape all of the undulations and banks and bring it to a more realistic depiction of a river. Yeah, come on, keep on going. You got a long way to go. Will it ever end? Yep. Going back and smoothing. Smooth tool is your friend. And now we shall widen. I call this the X-ray. Just white background and contours. When you zoom way out, it kind of looks like a liquid morph of the landscape, but you can really tease out where the roads are. Another mega cropped and merged super image that I've used in my layer to tease out as much detail as possible. Back to the smooth tool. Smooth tool is your friend. I just did the main roads. I didn't bother doing people's driveways. That'd add a whole nother break of time. Generally just render the property that you're focused on and leave everything else kind of blah. Really brings out and highlights, the focal point. I'll work up the buildings and the trees and all of the roads and paths, and everybody else just gets the standard satellite image contrast around it. Helps bring the subject off the page. So I rendered the Channon is his town, I guess. I don't know how many people live there. Yeah, I figured I'd just do his whole 2,000 acre village, and maybe if everybody had access to a visual map of the hydrology, he can steer him in the right direction. Channon. It's southwest of the Gold Coast, and I think northwest of Lismore. It's on the east coast of Australia. So right here, I got the dry season. I don't know if it's hot and dry or cold. I forget what month the satellite image was from. But anyway, this image right here, you can really see where tires have been, and feet for that matter. Clear as day, you can see paths everywhere. Now, I don't know if these, some of them might be construction from some swale builds on the west or south side of the property. I don't know if they're intended to be necessarily permanent access on some of these. I'm just rendering what I see. There's a little tiny footpath. That'd be a nice little walk there. Trees are another monotony, but it is a nice detail. So I hope you enjoyed the super sampling of the various processes that I go through when I'm building these base maps. But I want to reemphasize, and I do this not to be snobby or nerdy, but honestly though, the computer power, the raw power needed to wield the LiDAR data and build layer after layer after layer of detail and high resolution images, even my computer slows down towards the end when it gets bulky. And I've started with the MacBook Pro, and they were very frustrating to a point where I couldn't work anymore. It would just be locking up. I'd be losing, I'd be saving every 2 minutes out of fear, and frequent crashing to a point of annoyance where I just went and built myself a serious workstation. But if you are intrigued into getting into doing this, I encourage it. We need a lot of operators in the seat building these types of visuals for people as guidance. But just be prepared to spend some money. Give me a call.